Hey, it's Anthony Allen Ramos from GLAAD. Jonathan, Lea, nice to see you both.
Oh,
So
you.
nice to
How are
see you.
you?
I'm
It's
so
so
good. I know it's been so long. All the feels, though, from this documentary, I loved every second of it. Jonathan, if I can start with you. One of
Sure.
my favorite parts, and it was so special to hear you talk about really the strength that you cultivated after this experience when it came to coming out, your own journey with self-acceptance. I would love for you to tell me a little bit more about what that experience did for you.
I'm gonna cry. He's crying all day.
I've been crying all day. It's just like so personal and yeah, it means so much. That that I got to be in my early 20s surrounded by Lea and a cast of people that were so loving and supportive and respectful also of what I wasn't able to talk about at that time. No one ever cornered me into a room and forced me to declare who I was. And Michael Mayer, our director, everyone was just so loving and beautiful to me during that process. So I was surrounded by all those people and then got to do this show that literally hands a microphone to young people as an invitation to express themselves and to be able to sing Touch Me and to be able to do our love scene together and to be able to be so physical and sing was therapy. And then to play this part of Melchior, who doesn't let the world define him, is incredibly articulate, incredibly intelligent, incredibly fearless. I cultivated this side of my personality. It was like everything I wished that I could be. And I cultivated this side of my personality that a month after I left the show, I had nowhere else to put that energy but into my own life. And I came out of the closet and started my adulthood. And I have Spring Awakening to thank for that. It was a dream and a life-changing experience.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Lea, I knew that the two of you were obviously besties and very good friends. I didn't expect to get so much of like the very personal stuff about the moment that you met Jonathan. You talk about falling in love with him. And then the moment when you realized that, you know what, it's not going to work out for the two of us. And then you decided that you were going to be very protective over him. Tell me about that and why it was important for you. Because I think back on your allyship to the community, that must have been like one of your early moments when you were like, you know what? I am going to support my LGBTQ friends, even if I'm in love with them.
I think for me, growing up on Broadway, I'd been doing shows since I was 8 years old. I was born in the Bronx, but I lived in Hell's Kitchen since I was 8 years old and exposed to everyone, just this incredible community where everyone felt so safe to be themselves. I hadn't really met a lot of Jonathan Groffs who came from a place where they didn't feel like they could. So when I met Jonathan and we had this instant connection and I was like, okay, like we love each other so much, we should be together. And when I saw that look in his eyes, I knew that he was really struggling internally and that this came from a deep place from him. And for me, it was confusing because here we were in the theater community and I felt like everyone just could be themselves. But I knew in that moment that what mattered the most was protecting him. And I can be a really intense person. And I really needed to check myself and kind of step back and say that this is just about protecting him and making him feel safe. And this has to be in his own time. And we don't ever have to talk about it. We can just be us. And it never hindered our friendship. It never stopped us from growing. If anything, we became closer and closer and closer. And the day he did come out to me, it was like, yeah, okay, what are you ordering for dinner? Like it wasn't, I was so proud of him, but I knew who he was. And Jonathan is the most incredible person. And what this documentary will do, and him telling his story and having such bravery, it was so incredible to watch. I can't believe all these years later, like just seeing how much he's grown and so proud of him for living his truth. It's just so beautiful. And he will inspire and move and help so many kids by telling his story and his bravery.
I love that.
Like the most.
I know, it really is. This documentary is all the feels, but I think back with my own experience, especially with my girl friends that knew, but they were respectful if I wasn't ready to come out, and they just were there supporting, even though they didn't ask questions or pressure me. Jonathan, thinking back on that time, to have someone like Lea Michele in your corner while you kind of figured it out and, you know, navigated your journey, what was it like to have that support?
Oh my, you're gonna make us cry through the whole interview.
I know, sorry.
It's amazing to be able to talk about it. Actually, it's.
I
Yeah.
also kind of played I think if I can say, like, I think because he was so worried, like playing this part, like people were going to see through and know that he was, you know, gay. But like our friendship and our closeness, I think it kind of also stopped a lot of people from asking questions. So I think that they created a safety there
Totally.
because maybe people assumed we were together. So no one was also, I don't know if that.
It was that there was someone there that, and Lea and really the whole cast, like no one ever cornered me. No one ever forced me to say anything I didn't want to say. And Lea in particular, to be able to just we were so close. We were so like intimately intertwined. I mean, our relationship specifically, as you can see in the documentary, is so nuanced and so complex because we were also making love with each other in the show and really like working out our shit with each other, whether it was my boyfriend or her boyfriend or whatever kind of like things we were going through. We came to that, we hit that stage every night to like be there for each other and hold space for each other and express ourselves. And we had that on stage and we also had that off stage. And it was, I mean, it's everything. It's why we're sitting here 15 years later and we've lived a million lives since then. And we've stayed, like I say in the documentary, we've always had each other's backs. And it's the kind of thing when you're in the trenches with someone and you see like, oh my gosh, and you see who people really are, especially with theater, 8 times a week, you really, you know, you're in it, you're in the thick of it. And that we were each other's partner in crime and we like had each other and held each other through that experience when we were so young.
And to this day.
And to this day is like, it's like, it's incredibly meaningful. It's hard to even really articulate, but I think just by the fact that we're weeping so much.
I know.
Yeah,
All the feels, and that's what I love so much because, you know, you had this magical moment where you bonded and were best friends, and you still are. I mean, Lea, I know Jonathan's not on Instagram or social that we know of, but maybe. No, but Lea, I see your Instagram and you post all the time and you say best friend in the world, and you two are still that. I mean, why is he the best friend in the world? And how good does it feel to have someone that you shared such a unique experience together when you were so young, and then flash forward to 15 years later as adults, you still are that close now?
I mean, I think that our friendship it goes beyond, it's like soulmate status. The relief and comfort of having someone in your life that can just look at you and you know that they see you and they understand you in your best and in your worst moments. It's the most comforting feeling. And someone as loving and kind and special as Jonathan, for him to pick me in moments in my life when I've hated myself, I've often just said, well, if he loves me, then everything must be okay. You know, I mean, Jonathan has stood by my side in the darkest moments of grief and loss. He got me through times when I truly didn't think I could survive. And he also was by my side, you know, at my wedding. He slept in bed with me the night before my wedding, before I married my husband, who loves him so much. To be able to work together the way we do, but also have the friendship to travel the world the way that we have together. I feel so grateful that this incredible person loves me. I just feel like I must have done something right along the way.
I love that.
That was like something good.
And that, leads me to my next question, because can you imagine how different your lives, I mean, both professionally and personally, obviously, if you two never would have been able to do the show together, if you two never would have met? Jonathan, can you imagine how different things would have been?
It's like when Carrie Bradshaw says in Sex and the City, like, what if I had never met you?
Yeah, totally.
To Charlotte and Miranda. Yeah.
There was something that felt predestined about that entire experience, about our relationship, the ways that we've worked to stay in each other's lives, and the ways that the world continues to put us in each other's lives. It's like a combo, because friendship, you have to grow it, you have to treat it with respect, you have to focus on it, and we've definitely done that. But the world also continues to, it's like, there's still so much to grow and learn from each other. And with the whole company in this reunion, we had this like re-engagement with these relationships from 15 years ago. And everyone felt that. Like, we saw all sides of each other 15 years ago. We were kids, there was relationships, there was friendships. We made it to the other end. We did this incredible show. And this sort of joined us all for life.
Having the opportunity 15 years later to reconnect and reintroduce ourselves to each other as adults, having grown and been through so many life experiences, was so incredibly healing. And it was a real joy to be together again. I think it's bonded us now as a cast in so many ways.
Yeah, I was going to say, you literally saw all sides of each other, which I didn't know. I like that story. I won't spoil it for everyone because you must watch it on May 3rd, but that was a fun little...
Thank you.
That was a fun tidbit that I loved hearing that story.
You remember looking afterwards in your cast when you were on looking when that went down.
Yes.
And then they were like, will Lea come and do that for me too?
Yes.
Oh my God, that is like, incredible.
100%.
It was very
Great.
But I think with this documentary, which is going to be available on HBO May 3rd, I think that there is such an opportunity for a new wave of young people, or not even necessarily just young people, to see the story that maybe didn't see the show on Broadway back in the day, and to, feel supported to be who they are. Jonathan, what are you hoping that this next generation of Spring Awakening fans, picks up from this documentary?
Exactly what you said. I mean, this show is such a gift to young performers and the young audience that watched us. We talk about it in the documentary. It saves lives. It changes lives. There were young girls that had been abused that approached Lily and Lauren about their song, The Dark I Know Well. Teen suicide is bigger now than it ever was. And this issue is addressed head on. And Gallagher had people reaching out to him to thank him for his work, for his life-saving work in the show. And Spring Awakening is a life-altering, profound work of art. And it came out before social media. So there's not as much of a record of the power and potency of this piece. And with this documentary, yes, you get the interpersonal relationships of us and how the show changed our lives, but you also get to learn about this incredible work of art. And I hope that it inspires more people to do the show, because it's going to save lives and change people's lives. But also, I hope that it inspires people to make groundbreaking art, because this was a crazy idea. We were the dark horse of Broadway. It's a very unlikely success story of people taking real risks. And so I hope that it also encourages young artists to take those big risks.
Well, thank you both so much. It's been a pleasure. It's great to see you both, and congratulations. And just a reminder, everyone, you can check out Spring Awakening, Those You've Known, starting May 3rd on HBO.